If we go to the book of Daniel, we see a situation in which there were some words that were untranslatable. And the reason that I open up with Acts 2 is kind of a reaction to response I was getting from a lot of people when I first got saved and started studying the Word. Some of them were saying, oh, tongues is done away with. And the excuse they were using was, oh, because we don't understand what they're saying. And so just logically, just because you don't understand what somebody's saying doesn't mean that it's not a language. Right? That's like the common sense thing. When you're a mathematician or scientist, you understand a lot of times there's actual levels of organization and what appears to be chaos. All right, so now we're looking in the book of Daniel, and it talks about this king or ruler who disrespected the belongings of God. And so some hands came out, and that's where we get the writing on the wall from. Some hand came out, wrote some stuff. So let's read. So Daniel was brought before the king, and the king said to him, are you Daniel, one of the exiles my father, the king, brought from Judah? I have heard that the spirit of the gods is in you, and that you have insight, intelligence, and outstanding wisdom. The wise men and enchanters were brought before me to read this writing and tell me what it means, but they could not explain it. That's chapter 5, looking at verse 15. So his wise men, he was a king. He had people from all over. You know, they had to know a bunch of languages. This was a kingdom. He had exiles in his land. And so even the wise men, the learned men, couldn't even translate it. So just because you don't know what someone's saying, that doesn't discredit anything. And just because you're scholars and you're whoever don't know what's being said, it doesn't mean anything either. Because they don't know everything. Let's keep going. The wise men and enchanters were brought before me to read this writing and tell me what it means, but they could not explain it. Now I have heard that you are able to give interpretations and to solve difficult problems. If you can read this writing and tell me what it means, you will be clothed in purple and have a gold chain placed around your neck, and you will be made the third highest ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered the king, you may keep your gifts for yourself and give your rewards to someone else. Nevertheless, I will read the writing for the king and tell him what it means. Your Majesty, the Most High, God, gave your father Nebuchadnezzar sovereignty and greatness and glory and splendor. Because of the high position he gave him, all the nations and peoples of every language dreaded and feared him. So a reminder, this man was ruling over every language, peoples of every language, and still nobody could interpret. Those the king wanted to put to death, he put to death. But this is what it is. You know, the Bible says in 1 Corinthians, it says you got the tongue of men and the tongue of angels. Maybe with the tongue of angels. Because of the high position he gave him, all the nations and peoples of every language dreaded and feared him. Those that the king wanted to put to death, he put to death. Those he wanted to spare, he spared. Those he wanted to promote, he promoted. And those he wanted to humble, he humbled. But when his heart became arrogant,